Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I'm here to talk about next session of our ongoing series that is about data structure and algorithm. Today we are going to cover how to reverse array element. Let's get going. So here we are talking about is that when we say reverse array elements, essentially we are saying that okay, if it is the array, let's say 12 and 13, 34 of the are the members of the array, then after reversing, this will just become reverse. Like 34 will come first, followed by 12, and this array can be as long as you can imagine, or your memory or data types supports. The logic should work for pretty much the volume that supports the application and the system where the application is hosted. So to achieve that, we'll first go to the basic initial approach, rudimentary approach, where there is a first approach that one becomes to think if they have not experienced or they have not practiced or they are not understood the efficiency part. So there is a beginner's approach where we just, whenever there is a traversal, we first think about, okay, it is to do with, looping, right? So that's like traversing the entire array. And there are codes that end up giving us ON time complexity because we got to, reach each and every element. Second approach, after that we'll see that is more efficient because it's not looping the entire array, almost half of it, and of course, and hence we are saying that the time complexity will be less than ON. Okay. So yeah, let's see. Let's start coding. And the code would be available here as well in this place, so that if you want to refer, you can refer later. Let's build something. Okay. So here is a, I would say, place to build write code here. So let's create a class first to begin with. So as you might have noticed that I'm writing code in C#, but if you are coming from Java or C++ background, you can relate because it's of the C language family, right? So whether it's Java or C++ or C#, they're pretty, I would say, for a good number of percent, their looks alike, or one can maybe get like one can understand these languages with very short, I would say, like learning curve if they're clear on the basic of OOPS, and also language is not a problem. So I'm writing in C# because this is a language I'm using from last maybe 15-16 years. So it's easy, but however, sometime, just for a change, I also write sometime in just for making sure that uh, how the code looks like in Java also. So from experience, I can tell that if you know either Java or C#, I think you can relate. However, in this series, I'm writing code in C#. So let's create a class. So I'm just giving some name, reverse array, element, and I'm just giving 2. Now we got to create a function that will be called from our program.cs that has the main function. As you know, main is the starting point of any program. So let's call it like, let's create something. We don't want to create instance, so we'll create a static type. And let's say I'm giving a name driver. Okay. So imagine we need to accept the array from users, and then we got to reverse. So before you take the array elements, I think it's a good idea to ask how many members or how many elements developers wants to have to experiment this. So let's say I'm printing a message, console.writeLine, and I'm saying please insert the number of uh, elements you want to reverse. And since we are doing that, one point to remember is that it will work for both numbers and letters as well, right? So because it will we try to have the type that works for both. So it is data agnostic in that sense. Okay. So we'll repeat the message, then we'll take the array count in a variable called array count, and how take in C sharp, so it comes in string, so we got to convert into int32, and this is how we read. So console dot read line, and just to avoid chance of any spaces, just trim it as well. Okay. So basically it will read what the user has entered into the console. Okay. There is some typo here, convert dot int. Okay, there is something called before int to int32, so there is a right syntax. Okay, let's try one more time. Convert, it is not console, sorry, it is convert dot int32. Okay, should work now. Yeah. So we got what's the count, how many numbers user will be entering. Then we got to take the numbers as well, right? Well, like first, let's say I'm asking that enter 3, so I took a count of 3, but the actual numbers also should be entered, and for that, and we also got to enlighten the users that how the user is going to enter, whether they will be like one number, the enter, second enter, or they're going to segregate them by the spaces. So the in easier way, I think, to segregate by the space. So we'll follow that one. So for that, let's educate the users that what's the format we want to take. So we can say, please insert or enter the elements by keeping a space. So basically they can have a space gap there. Now, if you remember, we talked about that will support like type agnostic concept. So for that, I'm taking an object type. If you know that it is in C sharp, it takes like pretty much everything. It's like a parent class, so it can store pretty much everything. So I'm saying, list, and this for that to take this again, we need to read from, I would say, console. So console dot read line, and again let's trim it, read line, and then trim. And now the point is that, notice we asked user to enter the elements by keeping a space. So it means that how to get those numbers. So we got to split the stream of the that user will enter by the space, and so that you can get the unique numbers. How many unique numbers user have? Of course, in this case, it will be 3. User has entered. So dot split. It's a function out there, and we are saying that okay, please consider the space and convert those into the list format, because we have taken list of object, right? And one more catch here. By default, all those console dot write line will give in a string format. However, if you notice, it is not a string. It's basically object. So we got to convert as well. As you can see, it can't be converted, right? List of string to list of object. So we got to do a kind of typecasting. So for that, we have some construct out there. Select, and so variable is, we can create any variable. So let's say array, or just we can put A, and lambda, I'm using a lambda expression, and we want to convert it to object. So object, and of course the variable that we have taken, that is A, and now we converted pretty much everything, and now we got to convert into list as well. So it should work now. Yeah, it's working. So basically first it will segregate based on the space all the elements, and then it will convert them into object as well. So this will have the list of object. Okay. Now let's start. Okay, getting the required functions there. So first we'll go with the rudimentary approach, the basic one. So it should be private because it will be called inside inside this class itself. Static, again we are returning list of object. Here we are considering we are making it type agnostic, that's why we have taken object. But if you feel that your in your case is going to be either a string or integer, so you can take that as well. So reverse array element, and we need to take list of object, add it, this is how we are storing here. So okay, list, and now in this the first case, since we are going iterating it and we got to put a reverse element, we got to reverse the element, so we also need to have another array of object or list of object that can store the reversal, right? The reverse element. So there is need of having one more. This is the point. One more list of object. So okay, new list of object. However, the size would be the same as we're taking, just to make sure that it's not creating. Basically it knows that how many types, and it's not creating dynamic numbers. Again, we also need to instantiate those elements. So create a placeholder there. So if you notice, either we can have maybe 0 or something, or I'm just relying on C# to do it for me, and whatever default of those types, just enter it. Okay. So basically it will have like 0, 0, 0, 3 elements because you're passing 3, or if you're passing 5, it will have 5, whatever how many elements you're passing. So in this case, since we are, let's say we are taking, for simplicity's sake, we are saying 3. Otherwise, you have to loop how many elements came, and then we need to instantiate those many times. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just taking 3, and hence we have just 3. Okay. If you need more, then you got to loop it. I'm just avoiding one loop here. Now, so the array or the list that will have the reversed elements is ready to accept members or elements. Now, as we spoke in the beginning, that we need to loop. So we need to loop how many members we have. So we have, it's 3, so it will go for 3. And this element, let's name is reverse array or reverse list. So this will reverse list. Basically, think about, here's the logic. So reverse list, what we're doing is we will basically, though it is going from 0 to n, but we'll put a logic by which the 0th position of a new list will have the last element, and it will keep coming in. So the last element will have the 0th element. So it's like you can say 2 counters. So one counter is going from start to end, and we just have one counter, but we are putting a logic in a way that the second logic works as a second counter. So I will have a look. So list, reverse list of I, it will store, what it stores, list of, you know, list dot count -1, of course, because index start from 0. So just to make it a line, and minus I. That's the catch here. So what it will do is that, let's say 3 elements. So 0, rev list 0 will store list of 3 minus 1, 2, 2 minus 0, so 2. So rev list 0 will store list of 2. So you can imagine that last element is coming as and zeroth. So it will go vice versa. Second will, will come as second, and first will come as the first will go to the basically the third will replace with the 0, and then second with second, and the first with first. So that's how this will do, but only problem is that it has to iterate all over since the beginning of the loop. Now this is done, and now what we'll do is this array is closed, and then we'll return this one, reverse list. Okay, now let's test it, and to test it we got to create some additional code here. So list of object, and we are calling, instead of creating this, what we can do is we can say here list, sorry, list, and we'll call this the function that we create, reverse element, and we'll pass the list, right? And then we'll get it printed. Okay, there is some problem. Okay, already fine. So we can give maybe list 2 or something. Or you know what, we can reuse this as well. We don't need to necessarily create a new one, so it will just overwrite. So we don't need the previous one anymore. So we can just leverage the previous object or to create a new one, right? Yeah. Now list will have the reverse, and how to let's print it. So console dot write line, and well, it's again a little smarter syntax that came in. Not many know that. I was not also some time back, but I think pretty cool syntax here. So this, so I'll have the space, and I'll have the basically from which collection I'm taking the list, right? And then I'll close it. So it's like, it works without looping it, that way. So now let's call this. So rev array 11.2 dot driver. So I'm calling this. Let's see how this works. Okay, there is some problem here. Okay. Oh, it's gone. So let's see how this works. Okay. Well, there is some build error. Let's quickly see what's wrong. We might have missed some braces, I'm guessing. Okay. Yes, it's gone. So yeah, let's go with, for simplicity sake, 3 elements, and I'm putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I got the answer 5, 6, 3, 4, and 1, 2, right? So that's how we want it, that elements should come like that. So as you notice, the second element got replaced with 0, first with first, and zeroth with 2, because I will, when it will become 0, the reverse pointer, the I would have gone to 2. So it will put into second, 0th element into the second index, right? So it just did the reverse. So it is working. That's what we wanted. However, it's not efficient. As you notice that we got to loop till all the elements. So how to make it better? That's what we also always strive for. So let's try. So let's get another, I would say, version of this. Uh, Again, to save time, I'll copy paste. Otherwise, to save some time. So, but yeah, we got to keep a look what we're doing. So, of course, the first thing would be that I'll make it 2. Just differentiate it, and we don't need one more list here. That's again good part. It save some space. So take it out. Okay. However, we may need one temp variable that we'll see. And they told the complexity would be less than and how, because we're just going through half of the element, we're not reversing all, so count by 2. That's the second change. Now other change is that we need a variable, temp variable. So basically we need, you know either I think we can create over here just so that it's not creating, just reusing it. So we can say object temp, right? Okay, go to null, that's fine. So, and then what we can do is temp equal to, okay, we'll have the first element. So let's say array, in this case we have list. So list of I. So temp variable will have the 0th element, right? Now what we're going to do, pretty much similar what we have done in the previous. So here it is list, not the reverse list. So we'll simply say list. So list of I will have that, pretty much what the logic was. Only thing is that if you notice, it is replacing, but it's just going half. Okay, the reason is that we are taking the help of another temp variable that will have the 0th, that will start like from initial counter, that will have the elements. And so it's like, you can imagine that one counter is going from like a start to mid, and another is basically, you can say, coming from last to mid, right? So both of them don't need to go entire array, because we're taking help of one temp variable. So that is helping achieve the purpose. So we are storing the first element into temp, and what we'll do is the temp one that we have stored. If you notice that this will make sure, this will have the second line will make the last element going into the first, right? The same time we also need to see that this element list of, you can say, list of array count, basically the last element will have the first one as well. Okay, so we are able to achieve the purpose without traversing all, with the help of the temp variable that we have taken. That's the catch here. And again we'll test as well that it's indeed working, this logic, and this will, you know, make sure that we all understand as well how this works. Okay, let's run this. So for that, to run this, we need to make sure that this is being called, second one, not the first one. So this is reverse array 2, and let's run now. We'll get the same example so that to make sure that it's working. So if we want 3 elements, 1 2 3 4 5 6, it's working. 5, 6 came, 3, 4 came, 1, 2 came. So essentially we are able to achieve the reversal of the elements in array without going through all towards the end. So it was just we went half, and with the help of this extra variable, we could achieve it. So that's pretty much. Just to wrap, you learned how to, how to reverse array element in an efficient way. Okay, we have seen both example, initial and the efficient both. And as I mentioned that here's the code, so in case you want to refer one more time, you can go back and see. It's pretty much about me. Okay, and yeah, you'll find this is a YouTube channel as well, and you can refer it. Thank you. And if you like such videos and you want to be informed about next, you will want to subscribe as well. Thank you. Take care.